So Mum was here in 2013, January 2013, and she came over from QA. She had been diagnosed with lung cancer in 2011. Sorry, I had to think that 2011, but she was over here in January 2013. She stayed here for the last, I believe it was 3 days. So I was able to stay here with her, which was absolutely amazing. I stayed with her all day, every day for those 3 days. But on the last day, my dad came, he stayed, and my 4 children, they're big children now, they're not young children, and they all stayed as well. And it was just wonderful to be able to still be a family with the telly on, with things going on around you, just like being at home. The chat, the laughter. And I know it's something that my mum would have really enjoyed and really appreciated, the fact that everyone was there and just being normal. So it was a huge relief, gratitude, weight off our minds to be able to do that somewhere where we knew there was help at hand if we needed it. And that was important, because obviously that's such a big thing with somebody you love. You don't want to be stuck somewhere feeling, I don't know what I'm going to do if. So it was nice to be able to be here and do that. So yes, it was. I can't say enough how much it helped us as a family to be able to be here with her. It really did, and to be safe. My uncle was following year from Mum. He came in February of 2014. He was under the care of the nurses in the IPU and the doctors in the IPU. Again, he stayed for about a week prior to passing. And again, I was able. By that stage, our family had diminished somewhat, so there was only myself available really, and his son to be able to be with him. So we did that, and we sat with him until the last moment. And again, it was just that feeling of relief, of okay, we can do this, we can be comfortable doing this, we can say whatever we need to say, we can do whatever we need to do, but no, there's somebody there to back us up if we get stuck or if we run into a problem. So yeah, so we sat with him until he passed and had all the support, everything we needed. Fantastic. So Dad was diagnosed with esophageal cancer in 2016. And because we'd had a diagnosis that was likely to go on for a little bit, we knew we had a little bit of time. Although it was palliative, there was a little bit of time. So he was able to use the Living Well services and be part of that environment, which gave him access to the Veterans Service. He's ex-Navy. It gave him access to physiotherapy, which it was a big thing for him. He'd always been a very fit man. So he felt great gratitude in being able to access the services where he could still maintain a level of that fitness comfortably. So he didn't feel he was just sitting at home and wasting away. He was going to make the most of what he could of whatever time he had left. So yes, we used physiotherapy over there, and they gave him exercises to do. They made him feel better because he could actively do something to help himself. And it was also a quiet space for us. So we would come together and we would just sit and have a coffee, or sit and have a piece of cake, and just be able to access talking to some of the nurses. And if he had any concerns that I wasn't I wasn't able to kind of calm and reassure, he knew there were other nurses there and there were other people there that were able to do that. And he would take that on board, and he would feel much more relaxed and able to manage because he could talk to them. So we came for the 2 years, and great, honestly, it was amazing. They cocooned us, they made us feel supported, they were there to answer questions. Everything was just covered, right from Dad's early diagnosis to the point where he got quite poorly. So he became poorly. It was very quick for my dad. He was fine at home, and then just one day, the day that the hospice at home service started for him, I'd been pushing him for a long time to use this service because he was getting weaker and less able, and he didn't want to rely on just us. he was a very private man. So we had to push him to be able to do this. And it was the very day that they started that my dad actually passed. So he had held out for as long as he possibly could. And they'd come in the morning and he'd had a wonderful shower, shave, everything that was so important to my dad, he'd been able to do. So they'd enabled him to be able to do that. And the day passed and he was cheery and singing along to the programme Heartbeat. The songs were on there because it was all his era. And actually, that was such a big thing, looking back on it, that he had spent his last day totally normal and completely calm. And that was huge. So obviously I stayed with him. I knew he was deteriorating. I knew that there was an issue. And it wasn't until the afternoon that became clear. So we had to call in the hospice at home nurses. And I said, look, he's had a fall. I've sorted the fall. I think we're becoming quite close. So they came out, they agreed with me and put him on the end of life care, which means that they can come whenever you call, and they've got an emergency team and things that come out. So you've got the reassurance of knowing you're not going to be on your own if something does happen. So they left us. I was quite happy to be left. I felt supported. I felt I was able to manage my dad. And actually, a few hours later, I called them back and said, things have changed. They came over, and within about 10 minutes, my dad passed, but he passed peacefully in his home, which is something he'd really wanted. And with just myself there, he didn't want what my mum had had. He didn't want all the busy family and chats and telly. He just wanted quietly, and we got that. Without the hospice, none of my family would have achieved exactly what it was they wanted to achieve. They all knew they were dying. They all knew it was a journey and it was a path they had to go down. But they all managed to achieve